Good morning, and welcome to everyone that's joining us at our July 15th, 2025 Infrastructure Committee meeting. Welcome to those that are joining us here in the room today, and hearty welcome to those that are watching us today. I'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. First on our agenda is to approve the minutes from our last meeting. Has everyone at the table had an opportunity to look over the minutes?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made by Councilman Dobler and seconded by Councilwoman Ortiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So 3-0, motion passes. Number 3 on our agenda is action items. 3A, capital improvement projects. Steve, you're our.
Yep. Good morning, committee. Steve Groen, Public Works Director. This first project is funded under our pavement management program. This will be a mill and overlay project that will include some full depth patching and some curb and gutter and sidewalk replacements. This is on Southwest 37th Street, basically going from Topeka Boulevard to the signal in front of the South Walmart. We're looking for your approval to proceed with this project for construction yet this year.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Steve? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made to approve by Councilwoman Ortiz, seconded by Councilman Dobler. If there's no discussion, we'll vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. 3-0 in favor. Action item 3B.
This is, the next two items are related. The first item is a request to amend the 2023 to 2025, or 2025 to 2034 capital improvement project in the 2025 to 27 capital improvement budget to increase funding for our project 701039.00 for street improvements on Southeast 29th Street from Kansas Avenue to Adams Street. As what will be explained in the next agenda item, we received the final costs for inspections by the railroad, BNSF, related to the box culvert and water main installations, and we need to increase the budget for the project about $300,000 to pay for this additional expense.
We'll entertain a motion if there's no questions or comments for Steve.
So moved.
Motion has been made.
I will second that for the second discussion.
Okay. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Steve, is this, the bridge repair on 29th, that's on that curb right there?
That is
Is that what
correct.
that is?
Yes, ma'am. That's, there's a creek, Butcher Creek runs underneath that railroad bridge, and we're replacing that reinforced concrete box that goes under the bridge.
Are we replacing the, what do you call it, I just lost my train of thought. You know, when you go around that,
The railroad bridge, the
no,
piers.
not the bridge, but the guardrail, that's what I'm looking for. The
All that-
guardrail was terrible, in
Yeah,
terrible
all
shape.
that will be replaced as part of the project.
So it would be the guardrail and then the rail for the bridge or
Yep.
whatever you,
Everything will be brand new through there.
good, because that's in bad shape.
Yeah.
That's in bad shape.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Motion has been made by Councilman Dobler, seconded by Councilwoman Ortiz. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Action item 3D is next on our agenda.
3C.
3C?
Yep, item 3C.
Okay.
This is also related to 29th Street from Kansas to Adams Street. This would rescind Resolution 9632 for the same project number as talked about in the previous item. We're going to be using federal funds exchange to pay for this $300,000 budget increase. The majority of the requested increase to the budget is to pay for railroad flagging. We hadn't received all the permits and inspection regulations for inspection services required by BNSF when we were here previously. Number submitted by BNSF lists these costs at $1,400 a day plus $400 in mobilization costs. And they're unclear whether we're going to need one flagger or two flaggers. We anticipate that we're going to need these railroad services for 5 months during construction of the reinforced concrete box and also during water line installation. This project is ready to go out for bids. If the PI committee approves this amendment this morning, and if you're able to have the governing body consider this tonight and get it on the agenda for tonight, this project is all queued up with contracts and procurement ready to go out for bids now. So we're asking for your support to do this. There's uncertainty with steel and other prices by waiting another month if we would wait to bring it to the governing body at the next meeting on August 12th with talks of tariff increase on August 1st. So we're looking for this morning we're looking for the committee support to increase the budget to pay for these railroad requirements.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay.
I've got a question.
Questions? Comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the traffic signal that's going to be installed is at 29th and Fremont, is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're going to replace that?
Yep.
Okay, I have a business owner that is right across from the bridge, and I can't remember the name of his business. He has called me twice. He is very concerned about not being able to get people to his business, about shutting his street down and not being able to access. And he's only got one way in and one way out, and that's on 29th. What are we going to do?
The only time the road is going to be closed basically is for construction of the box culvert for the correct under the railroad bridge. We're phasing the entire project to keep 29th Street open except for construction of the box culvert at the creek. So we will be working with all the business owners very closely to maintain access to their properties. We do not anticipate a full closure like the project last year east of here. We're going to do everything we can to maintain traffic from the east for all the businesses there.
So how long will that be closed, Steve?
About 5 months.
No, I mean, you're saying you're going to close,
Yeah, just for the box culvert, that's the only time the road will be completely
that'll
closed
be
to
closed
traffic.
5 months?
Yep. Joe is our project manager for this, Joe Harrington. He can answer this better.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It'll be closed 2 times, 5 months estimated for the box. If they get 2 crews, 4 months. And then it'll be closed again for the water line construction at 29th and Adams.
At the intersection.
Yep, that whole intersection, which will essentially shut down through traffic through 29th between Kansas and Adams. And
He thought he might even go out of business if people can't get to him.
he called me.
He called you too?
I'm sure I know who you're talking about. He called me too. And, yeah, very unfortunate. Under Braxton's lead here, we changed the water line plan to keep traffic on 29th during the water line install prior to the box. So I think that the city has done everything that we could to improve the situation.
Braxton? Are you confident that we're going to be able to, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity. So this is a dilemma that we face when we have large projects that are going to require a closure, right? It's a matter of this improvement is very badly needed. to increase the size of that box, because as you know, we get a rain event, it floods and we have to close that road. In addition, that we have our infrastructure, our water line is old and bad shape. If we get a break, that puts a lot of people out of water, right? And so necessarily, as we were looking at this project, we intentionally chose to take longer time, which is adding cost and time to the project, to do it in multiple phases to reduce the amount of the inconvenience to the public, because there is no way that you can replace a box culvert without doing a full closure of the road, right? And so necessarily that part is going to have to be closed. But instead of just closing it all and doing all of the work and doing it faster, we decided to phase the project. Now, the Kansas case law is crystal clear on this matter. If it's a lawfully authorized project and it's diligently pursued, the city does not have liability for the loss of business, inconvenience to those businesses. We will make sure that he has access to his property. It's not going to, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to maintain that through traffic. So it will be a more roundabout way for his customers to get there, right? But we're not going to be able to have them go east and west across 29th Street. And, you know, that is something that I challenged my team when they initially came to me and said, we're going to do a full closure for this 1.5 year long period. And I said, no, we're not. We're going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to come up with a way to phase this to minimize that disruption. But we cannot do this project without disrupting them.
I appreciate that. I did want to bring that up because he's called me several times, and I appreciate you looking at it, and I just want to say, if whatever we can do to help him, I'm sure you would be on board with that. Let's do that.
Yeah, we will make sure that he has access, even if we have to do temporary access to it. But the reality is that we have to do this closure. We have to do these improvements.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you to the team. Thank you. I know it's tough, but thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair.
Braxton. Thank you. Any other questions, comment? Yes, Michelle.
What is the timeline?
It's like going to be 2 construction years. Like, we're going to start doing the box culvert this winter and the water main, and then it'll be 26, then going into 27.
Okay.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is in my district, so I'm sorry. When you come and swing back around, you know, that little loop right there in
Yep.
front of it, are they going to take that medium out, or will they install another one? Have
No,
we-
they'll still be there. Is that correct, Mark?
The median's coming out.
Can you talk in the mic, please?
As Braxton indicated, the median's coming out for the first phase so we can maintain traffic through there before we tear out the box structure. And then the median will be replaced once we get everybody back in alignment and get the road replaced.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I thank you, because I think that's important that that's there.
Yeah.
Because people don't drive it that well. Thank you.
Exactly.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you,
you have
Steve.
to keep that traffic channelized through that
Yeah.
curve.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I think it is so important that small businesses look at us as though we don't care about them. So I think it is a very good idea that we take as much consideration as possible to assure them that we're going to do what we can to make sure that their businesses stay functioning. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No.
Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item on the agenda is 3D. Good morning, Director Davis.
You ready for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The Utilities Department is coming before you this morning with a series of projects that we're requesting approval for to address improvements at several of our wastewater pump stations around the city, mostly on the south and east side of town. This first request is for some odor control improvements at our Central Park and Rockfire pump stations. I just wanted to take a little minute to explain that historically, the H2S that's caused by wastewater in our wastewater treatment system, in our pipes, naturally occurring, over time causes a lot of odors throughout different parts of town, depending on how stagnant that water may get, rainfall, flow, et cetera. Up until this point, we've been very reactionary in our approach to addressing odors. We have chemical feeds at several of these pump stations. We spend upwards of between $400,000 and $500,000 a year in chemical costs alone, just trying to fight these odors as they start occurring and elevating. So in 2023, the Utilities Department introduced a project in our CIP program to start having a more holistic, systematic approach to installing some improvements after we studied the system and addressing this more proactively. So this is the first phase of the work that has been generated out of the studies that we've done. We're excited to finally make some of these improvements at Central Park and then Rockfire. We will see what that does to the system, pending your approval, of course. And then as we monitor the H2S levels with those improvements, we will see what further improvements need to be made throughout the rest of the system. Ultimately, this all culminates at the Oakland wastewater treatment plant, and the Oakland neighborhood really gets the brunt of much of these odor complaints and impacts. So this is long. They've waited a very long time for some of these improvements. So again, the nuts and bolts of it is this first project is a request for $3,600,000 to address and install a super oxygenated system at the Central Park pump station. And then we're looking to install a small digester at the Rockfire North pump station. Both of these technologies help introduce oxygen into the wastewater treatment system, which keeps it from becoming stagnant and reduces the H2S levels at those points in the system so that the wastewater flowing out and into the remaining of the system is much less potent, to put it in frank terms. H2S, hydrogen sulfide, is naturally occurring as the bacteria in our wastewater system breaks down.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you. I knew that, Braxton. Sylvia, how will this affect Collins Park? I mean, because I know that there's you have educated me on that, but Collins Park.
Collins Park, I would have to go back. Let me get back to you on that to see what, if any, impact it will have.
Is this in the line of that?
I think Collins Park is really heavily impacted by the stream coming further from the south, Frito.
Right.
So these may not quite hit that yet.
Okay.
But again, that's what we're looking and hoping to address in subsequent projects.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll get back with you with a definitive answer.
I think you're right. I think it
yeah.
comes out south because when I had complained about Collins Park before, you're like, it's south. I'm like, no, it's
Yep.
Collins Park.
Yep, so I don't think these will really have much of an impact, but we will continue to address those through the chemical feeds that we have currently installed.
So did we look at the worst one or what you thought was okay?
Absolutely.
I mean, Collins Park is bad, but this is even worse.
It is, when you look at, the system is so vast, it's sprawled out, so as the waste stream culminates downstream, right? So it may not be bad at the start, but then as it continues to flow down and take additional streams, it just it gets greater. And that's what we studied, where at the various pump stations, where those lines converge, what were the levels there, which ones were the worst,
Right.
and which ones did we think we could make the most impact at to the greater part of the system. We can spend money a lot of places. We're limited, of course, so just to try to tackle and take the highest priorities, it's really where the worst spots are and then where our improvements are going to make the biggest impact through the rest of the system.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I got a question. Will this cut down on the chemicals we have to buy?
Yes. Yep.
So it will be, there will be savings.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Mhm.
Any other questions or comments for Director Davis?
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Next item on the agenda is 3E.
Thank you. 3E, again, is a wastewater, set of wastewater improvements that we are hoping to make after we have done some design. This project is a request for just over $4 million to address 3 of our pump stations surrounding Lake Shawnee. We have antiquated equipment at these stations, and with the work that we've done on design, we are planning to replace 3 of those failing pump stations with 2 brand-new pump stations. So this project will allow us to eliminate one, again, reducing our operating and maintenance costs long-term. We plan on eliminating Shawnee 1 and work on some of the force main that's associated with Shawnee 2. So we're doing some collection system realignment with this work, again, eliminating some long-term operating and maintenance costs with the removal of one of those 3 pump stations. With that, I'll stand for further questions.
Questions or comment for Director Davis?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Director Davis. Next on our agenda is item 4, discussion of utility rates.
All right, would you like me to open this, or how would you like to guide some of this discussion?
Can go ahead and open.
Okay. I will open briefly by just a little bit of a recap. The latest increases to our rate structure, those discussions began in very late December of 2022. And then we had some changes to an approach and more discussions early in 2023. There were several public meetings in March of 2023 and discussions at the governing body level. During that time, as with any of our rate discussions, the department is looking at using the tools we have to look at appropriate increases that help us address all 3 of our utilities: water, wastewater, and stormwater. And we try to apply the needs of the department, of the infrastructure and our community. We try to divide that amongst our ratepayers as equitably as possible. Lots of discussion that goes into that, and as a result, it was voted on in April of 2023 for rates set for 2024, 25, and 26. So the current rate structure as laid out in that ordinance is good through 2026. As with any of our approaches to rate increases, our ask is always much more than I think any of us have the ability to palate and approve. So it's a compromise, and we work through whatever that rate structure is as we move forward and look to what we need future, looking forward to the future. So when it comes to readiness to serve, one of the biggest changes in this last round that came into effect in 2024 was, as many of you are aware, that what has always been referred to for many years is a base charge. That base charge has not been there forever, but for a handful of years prior to this last round of rate increases, the base charge in ordinance stated that any resident, any owner, business, commercial, whether you use the service or not, if you are connected to either our water infrastructure or our wastewater infrastructure, you will be charged a base rate. In practice, that was not occurring. While it stated that that's what was supposed to happen, it wasn't. Only active users were being charged that base charge. So as we looked at the rates and we were proposing a variety of options, the discussion moved to making a change to start applying those base charges as it was laid out in ordinance and applying those to everyone, whether you were an active user or not. To signify that change, we made a simple terminology change. Base charge is now referred to as readiness to serve charge. With that change, starting in 2024, folks that may not have anticipated having this impact definitely saw an impact when they started receiving bills that they just have historically never received. Traditionally, if I am a renter or an owner, I should say, if I'm an owner, if I'm a user and I'm used to using my water and I go south for the winter, I stop using water in November, I don't get charged. That's how it had historically operated. Now, if I still have that service and I want to be able to turn my water on when I return, I'm still going to get charged a base charge as I am away. If I'm a property owner and I have a vacant property, before I didn't use water, I wasn't getting a base charge for water or wastewater. With this change, those property owners are now receiving monthly bills with a base charge for both water and wastewater. And additionally, with this change, we were able to start billing those properties that were residential properties for stormwater. So again, historically, this is a lot of information I know, but historically, we were not charging folks that only had a stormwater charge on their residential properties if they did not have active usage. The cost of doing the billing for one of those properties, if we weren't billing for water or wastewater, the cost benefit ratio was not there. So that was not happening either. So with this change and starting to initiate those bills for water and wastewater readiness to serve, these customers also started seeing stormwater charges as well. So that has led us to where we are today. There's been lots of discussions on the impacts that this has had. We took the costs that we needed to spread over everyone, and with readiness to serve and the revenue that we were budgeting for, forecasting for this change, allowed us to reduce the impact of the increase that then applied to the rest of our users. So about 98% of our customers that are active users had a little bit less of a rate increase on that base charge because of the addition of the revenues from the readiness to serve monies that we were going to be receiving with this change.
Mr. Chair.
Chair recognizes Councilman Dobler.
Thank you, Chair. So just to kind of boil this down, the base charge, we changed the name from base charge to readiness to serve. The base charge, as it was implemented under the original ordinance, should have applied to everybody that had a meter. Is that correct?
Correct.
But we historically didn't charge that. What's the monetary impact of?
So our forecasts have been pretty spot on. It's approximately $500,000 for water and $500,000 for wastewater. Water is a little bit more and wastewater is a little bit less, but round numbers, $500,000 for each of those utilities.
Okay.
Just for those people that are not active users receiving this. So that's not the base where the readiness to serve in total, because again, 98% of our customers with active usage are also paying readiness to serve.
So if we were to, I mean, it'd be a simple matter to perhaps change readiness to serve back to base charge and apply it as it was before we made the change in 2024. What would that $500,000 impact to water and $500,000 to wastewater, what would that mean to the utilities?
So looking at, again, what we had budgeted for and what impact that has to the overall rate structure. As we've done the math and been looking at this, it is a 90-cent increase on the water side to the rest, the active users and those base charges. And then on the wastewater side, almost the same number, 78 cents, 80 cents to make up the loss of revenue of what we had forecasted for those two utilities.
And that's 90 cents a month, roughly,
Correct.
on a residential
Yep.
user. If we weren't to do that, if we just got rid of not the readiness to serve per se, but the application to people that aren't using water, what does that mean to your budget if you weren't able to make up that difference?
Sure. Total impacts means we have to start taking a look at our capital improvement plans and reducing some of those out years and projects that we have had planned and are preparing for. And we know, just based on our budget, we're already looking at serious reductions in our operating budget for 2026, and we know that they would be even greater in those out years. We don't have rates for 27 and beyond yet, but we know 2026, with the reduction of $500,000 in water and $500,000 in wastewater, we're going to have even more impacts to that operating budget.
Okay, thank you. You know, in my mind, and I think I said this in the council meeting a few weeks ago, this has been sometimes no good deed goes unpunished. And again, what's at issue here is we started applying the ordinance as it was written many years ago, and we changed the name, and we know what the impact was. It was probably a good idea, but the ramifications aren't really something that we're willing to, I think, as a council, live with. So probably we want to look at going back to where we were prior to 2024. Unfortunately, we can't really live with the monetary impacts. We've got to make that revenue up somewhere. And I think what I'd suggest that we look at this point is we're going to have a rate increase, or we've already got one program for 2026 under our 3-year rate schedule. I know every 90 cents, 80, 90 cents is important, but it is a minimal impact to everybody else that would have been paying it if we hadn't applied the ordinance to everybody that has a meter that's not using water. We would have had to raise rates anyways to everybody else. So I think it makes sense for us to look at that minimal increase in 2026 and eliminating not really the readiness to serve, changing it back to a base charge that goes to everybody pays it that's using water. But if you're not, you have the ability to shut your water off and not pay. Now, you're still going to pay stormwater because that's something that's not going to change, but that's what, $7 for a residence or something like that.
Correct. When we look at the percentages, active users, 98% of our customers are active users. The remaining 2 to 3 are these people that are more heavily impacted by the readiness to serve charges, because you're splitting that value over much fewer people, right? So I think it's helpful to have this example that a current bill with readiness to serve only for a vacant property owner that's getting all 3 of these utility charges. Water is $18.22, wastewater is $14.43, and then stormwater is $7.34. So an average bill for somebody that may not have had one prior to 2024 is almost $40. If we were to change, again, great point, those customers are still going to be receiving that stormwater charge, but it's $7 and change. In 26, it's going to be $7.34 per our existing rate structure.
I'm done.
Chair
Thank you.
recognizes Councilwoman Ortiz.
Thank you. Sylvia, when we passed that, didn't we set up a water account? And how much money goes in that water account?
We, I think you're referring to our water assistance programs.
our water assistance program.
Well, I don't have that
City manager, do
value
you?
today. Yeah, we
No.
have a couple, Nicole Malott is standing
down,
and wait,
Nicole.
so Nicole is much better at keeping these values in her
Because that was
mind,
part
so
of it.
It was, absolutely.
And so we,
Yep.
we're not just losing the mill, we've got, I just don't want to say a wrong number,
That's,
It's $500,000.
half a
Yeah,
million.
there's 500,000 in water assistance funds that came as part of that rate structure.
So,
which is why I said we could impact that, but I don't know that any of us really want to take those funds away from that program specifically.
Exactly.
Which is why we would be likely looking at our operating budget and our CIP programs,
And I-
if
and
we
I-
were to do away with it completely.
and if I may, Neil, real quick, Nicole, how much, do we spend every dime in that account?
We have not yet. 2024 was the first year
And what do we
that it
spend? Do you
existed.
know?
I don't have it, but if you ask somebody else a question, I'll find it really quick.
Okay, city manager, you got it? In 2025, do we know how much we've spent?
I can tell you, to date, we have allocated just over 100,000 out of that 500. And that is, it is credited to accounts quarterly. So when I say allocated, we haven't paid that much yet, but people have qualified for that much, and we will continue to pay it throughout the rest of the year, in addition to whoever else applies and qualifies as the year continues.
So is it a one-time help, or?
It's annual.
Annual.
Like I said, you qualify annually for it. It's $300, so it works out to $75 quarterly. You can absolutely requalify for it the following year. It is also not exclusive of any other program, so all of the other programs that exist out there,
Right.
if you meet qualifications for that as well, you're still qualified for those.
So it's 300 per household, or who qualifies?
Yeah,
Okay.
per utility account, yes.
Okay. So I just wanted us to remember that. We specifically put that money in there for the low to moderate income people, or people that we knew were going to have challenges with that, the rate increase.
Okay, Council Dobler.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, that's a great point, and that comes out of that additional revenue that was gained from the application of the base charge to everybody. And I think that just reinforces the idea that we're going to need to go back and increase that 80, 90 cents, whatever it is, across the board, because we need to keep those programs in place. I also think this is a great time to perhaps publicize that program a little bit more so people know about it, because maybe people just don't know, and that's, if there's 500,000 out there and we've only spent 100 through half a year, that's a lot of help out there for folks that need it. So I'm going to suggest that we look at an ordinance that would eliminate the application, that would, number one, change the terminology back to base charge. I think we need to do that. And then would eliminate the application of the base charge to folks that aren't using water. And I'm not sure technically how that works, but I know you can figure that out. And then we apply the loss of revenue from reversing that to the increases in 2026. And obviously, when the council discusses increases for 27 and on, those will be inherent in that. So whatever that takes to get that kind of ordinance together, then I assume that would come back to the infrastructure committee for action and move on to the council. Thank you, Chair.
Any others? Chair recognizes Councilwoman Ortiz.
I can agree with that. I guess my only question would be is, what are we gonna do with the people that took their meters out because they didn't wanna pay that? And there's several of them out there. And now we're reversing that. And how would we, I think for a while, I know that you did not send any notices out. And then when you just started to send notices out, because I had several calls and said, well, this is what you gotta do. You either gotta pay it or get it removed. And so that's what we did. And so I feel like we kinda, do we give it back to them free, or, I mean, we've gotta figure that out, because there's a lot of people that didn't wanna remove it, but they didn't wanna pay that charge as well.
If I could, I think that's a case-by-case basis. I mean, number one, there's a lot of abandoned houses,
Right.
a lot of empty lots out there that had a meter
Right.
that didn't need to be there, and I don't think needs to be put back until maybe a new house is built or something. So I would assume it would just be going through case-by-case, looking at what happened. I'm gonna assume there's probably not that many meters that got removed strictly for this purpose that weren't part of a abandoned or no longer existing structure.
Yes, in response to that, we have had a lot of those conversations with our customers, and they've had to make those choices. I don't want to say fortunate because it's a bit pain point for every single one of them, but typically those folks that have chosen to have it removed have not been utilizing it for 5, 10, some 20 or more years. So the likelihood of them having to come back and do that is a little bit lower for those that chose that route. It is our all of this, whether it's just the base charge that they're receiving or the ramifications of removing that is something that is part of the existing structure. So again, it's what we've built out. We haven't made a change yet. On most of those, I would say a vast majority of those, the meters have been removed. We have been able to remove hundreds of meters from our system. Again, maybe a pain point for that customer because of the fear of what that means down the road, but it's been very helpful to the utility to not have that added infrastructure out there that we're trying to maintain every month. But again, to your point, we would definitely be looking at a case-by-case basis. Most of the hard infrastructure outside of that meter is still there, so it's not going to cost what it would have had we moved far enough to start removing all of those services completely. But it's still going to be an impact for them when they want to install a new meter in service.
Okay, it's food for thought.
Anything, Michelle?
Nicole, you got my answer?
Well,
Oh, for last year? Sorry, I gave you this year, and so I stopped looking for last year.
In the meantime, can I ask, would you prefer to have, we've been working on some of this, so we're farther along, but do you want us to come back with some proposed ordinance language next month at this committee, or how would you like to approach that in terms of your agenda and calendars?
I think it would be to our best interest to bring back to this committee, and then we can go to the governing body.
Absolutely.
And yes, I do have your answer. 87,000 is what was approved last year.
We promote this as much as we can, and our call center staff are really, really great. And that is a great team of people who reach out, and you would be surprised at how difficult it is to give money away sometimes. Councilwoman Ortiz has hand-delivered applications, has offered to help people pay, or help them fill those out. We've been face-to-face with folks as well. It's kind of difficult to get people to fill out the required paperwork to get this assistance, but it's absolutely there.
And I believe if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I believe we had it in our invoice, in our bill, right?
Yes,
Right.
information on those programs.
Right.
Yep.
And our new bill, people have showed me that it was on there as well, in that little red spot. So
Yep.
people are liking the new bill and the format of it, and they can see how much they owe, and they're liking the little note parts. So I've heard very good stuff on that, so.
Yeah,
I-
good, thank you.
I think it's out there. It's just like those smoke alarms. We can't give them away, and they're free. You're saving lives, so all we can do is keep announcing it. But I was just curious of all the money that we did. I was going to ask this before. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I think this has been a really, really good, informative discussion, especially for our constituents, because I was getting calls as early as 10 o'clock today asking about some of the same things that we've talked about today. And would like to thank you, Director Davis, Nicole, for being so informative with us. If there are no other questions, we'll just go on to the rest of the agenda. We're at the portion where we're asking if there are any other items from the committee. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. While Steve and Mark and Joe and everybody's in here, I just wanted to say I've lived through resurfacing of quite a few streets in my neighborhood this year. They were getting in pretty bad shape, and the crews came out probably 2 or 3 weeks ago and did a lot of crack sealing, some major crack repair, and then we had the microsurfacing done. I think your contractor's Vance Brothers, they've been in the business a long time. I just want to say that it's difficult when you have to cut off a neighborhood for a day or do streets a half at a time and people are trying to get in and out. They've done a really great job. You're dealing with the weather. They did a great job of getting the door hangers out and letting people know what was going to happen. I think things got delayed by a day or so because of weather or other things, but people understood what was going on. They were very informative. I know several people called the foreman or superintendent for Vance Brothers, and he was responsive. So it's been a disruptive experience, but as good of a disruptive experience as you can have. And obviously the final product is nice. It looks like we've got new streets, and that's fantastic, and it's money well spent. So I just wanted to pass that on to whoever you'd like to pass that on to on the contractor side. They're doing a great job. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Any others? Seeing no other, we'll go into public comment.
Mr. Ledbetter emailed me. He's not able to make it today.
Okay. Moving on. We had some sign-ups in the building today. I'll try and be as clear with the names as I can be. First on the agenda is Debbie Hollow.
Herod. It's hard to read.
Harold?
Herod.
Harrod. Okay. If you'll come to the podium, please.
I just have a couple of questions. I have a building that I have sitting that I don't use water on, and I understand why you're charging people, because I was gonna have my meter taken out, and they said it'd be $4,000 to $5,000 to put it back in. So my choice was, because eventually I'm gonna sell it, was to leave the meter there. My question is, how many people are not using meters and you're not collecting anything from them? And how are you going to collect it? I've read that you're turning them into collection agencies, and there really hasn't been given much notice, or you're going to put it on their property tax. And I think it needs to be very clear for everybody. If you have something sitting, you pay the charges, but I don't think it was explained to anybody very well. Because I have a building that I have water there, and I agree if everybody pays. I mean, for instance, my ready to serve last month was 3702. My ready to serve was 2876. My wastewater total 29. Stormwater 5325. So I have a $122 bill. And I think if it was divided to everybody that had property sitting and everybody paid, nobody would have this big a bill. And I want to know, how many properties does the city have, sitting that aren't used? How many properties that are, being repoed or taken for back taxes? So will that be put on the tax bill? And when people buy them at the tax sale, will they be, have to put the water, pay the back water bill? What are your plans for collecting it? I think it needs to be clear to everybody. That's my only comment.
Okay, thank you. Next on the public comment list is Debbie Freese. I hope I'm pronouncing.
Yes, that's okay. Thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. It's David Friese, and
Okay.
I think I understand better about the readiness to serve thanks to your presentation. My only question would be, how many more months can I expect to be paying this readiness to serve until the rate structure is going to be changed or readjusted?
Well, we don't answer questions in this form. What we'll do is take your information and we'll have the appropriate department get back with you and try and answer your questions for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mike Kahn.
Yes, thank you very, very much for this meeting and this opportunity to express my appreciation for a wonderful city. My wife and I have pastored the church at 2313 Southeast 29th Street for, we moved there in 94. We previously had pastored in North Topeka. I would like to get to the point if possible. We have experienced this rate increase on our water bill with the storm drains. We were fortunate enough to host a meeting where some of the city officials came, and I got a little clarification on, maybe I need to get more clarification. However, as far as the structure of the storm drains and the rain and the water that falls on our property, we have a parking lot, we have a roof, of course, over our church. And as I understand, this charge that we're being charged to the tune of $288 a month for the storm drain maintenance. However, none of our water goes through any of the storm drains at all. If you will look on a map, you will find that all of the water goes into a creek that the city uses to drain the water from west on 29th Street. It comes east, goes through our property, goes underneath the turnpike, goes down parallel with the turnpike. It then empties into Deer Creek, which then empties into Shunga Creek, which ultimately goes into the river. It appears to us that we're being charged unjustly for something that we're not responsible for. As I said, our water that drains off of our property does not impact any of the storm drains in Topeka, Kansas. We would like for this charge to be removed from our water bill, inasmuch as we are not responsible for any destruction or any wear and tear on the storm drain system. Of course, we have considered legal counsel. We do not want to go down that road. We would like to have clarification on this. Our church has experienced some decrease in revenue. I don't mind letting you know we have a little struggle financially, and this would help immensely if you would help us to understand how we can get this charge removed.
Also, I'd like to mention that the city put in a very large drainage ditch on our property to take off the runoff water off of 29. And we have maintained it ever since it's been put in. The city doesn't pay us for it. It's on our property. And we are the ones that keep the weeds out and have ever since been installed. Which I think that was installed because of failure somehow to plan on the Dillons and the Walgreens that went in up on 29th in California. All that runoff water was running right into our driveway. We couldn't get in or out hardly when the snow and ice was there. So I guess we kind of wondered if there's not a trade-off. We've been paying this for 30 years and never has been paid yet, but the city doesn't pay us for using our property to drain their water off, which I thought there was an ordinance that you could not, your runoff water could not run onto somebody else's property.
Pardon me, ma'am. Would you like to have another minute or so to discuss? Okay. Well,
And
thank.
I did say, I did email the utilities to come up with some information. I basically got just a standard response, and so that was our first attempt at resolving the matter.
Okay. Thank you both for your comments. Okay.
Could we get a response?
In this form, we do not respond back. What we do is take your comment and we can pass it on to the department. The utility director's here, so.
Could I
Urge you
visit with you
directly.
after the meeting? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Pat, Phil, Delip, Delap.
Well, thank you for talking about this issue, things like this. I will disagree on several things. I've had 2 meters put on on 2 of my properties that there weren't meters before, just so the city could start charging me this readiness to serve bill. State law, which we talked about before, city council, prohibits municipalities for charging people for utilities that they did not apply for. We did not apply for these services. We should not be paying for them. You need to start figuring out how to pay these people back, too, that did pay it in. Now, when you don't pay the bill, they turn you into collections. The collection attorney, at least in my case, he won't give me my day in court. They don't sue me. Instead, they want to go through a tax offset, which is very confusing. You're using administrative law, and oh my God, there's 7 different administrative laws in the state of Kansas. And it's, why won't they give it a day in court? Because they know it's prohibited against state law and somebody's going to point it out to the judge. Got another property, well, one of several. There's a sewer line connected to the main sewer, the city sewer. There's 6 properties that go into that private sewer line. When they get clogged up, the city won't come out and clean up. It's a private sewer line. But yet they charge everybody who connected to that private sewer line that monthly fee, which is inappropriate. They should be charging one fee and divide it up between everybody else. There's ways we can increase our revenue and increase water. There's Bruce Northrop was a 50-year employee down there at the water department. He ran the clean water side and did all this stuff, was excellent employee. He always argued, you lower your rates, people will increase. And he showed charts. Every time we have a rate increase, water use decreases. We have 5 pumps connected to the Kansas River. Each pump is capable of pumping about 22 million gallons of water a day out of that. So we can pump 100 million gallons of water out. We're using 1 pump. Only 21,500,000 gallons a day do we pump. Dude, you can't argue all those rest of those 4 pumps are redundancy because they're the same building. It's the capacity we have. Tell you what, try to experiment. lower the rates big time and see if your water usage does not increase, and therefore your revenues will remain the same. In Salina, they have a rural water district. $41 a month people get charged. You know how much water you get for it? 10,000 gallons. What would 10,000 gallons of water use cost here? I got a bill the other day for one of my houses. It's vacant a little bit, but I still have water on. I used 104 gallons of water that 1 month. You know what my bill was? It's $103 or $102.99. That is ridiculous. Now, let's put a little caveat. I do have 4 containers, trash containers over there, but still, that is way too much money. In 2017, we talked about the sewage use bill is based upon 3-month average, therefore we're not charging you for watering your grass in the summer times, things like this. I think Nicole was actually there and gave the presentation in 2017. You're a city employee at that time. And the excuse was, well, why don't we just we either go on the 3-year average monthly basis or your actual water use, whichever is lower. Excuse was given, we can't do that. Our computer system's too old. We can't adjust it. We need to upgrade our computer system. That was 2017. We're still doing the same thing. So I might use 104 gallons of water and be charged for 6,000 gallons running through that sewer line, which did not occur.
Okay.
That needs to change.
Mr. DeLappe, we have 4 minutes. Would you like another minute or so to?
I'm fine. I think I said what I wanted to.
Okay.
I'll write you otherwise.
All right, thank you. That's all, Councilwoman Ortiz.
Sylvia, where are we with the readiness to serve? Or have we put a hold on that? Is anybody getting charged, or are we just trying to figure this all out? I know there was a question that was asked.
As it is still our existing rate structure, everybody is still getting those readiness to serve charges on their bills. That's our current rate ordinance, and so that continues. We did put a stay on the request for liens, that last action that we were taking to address those delinquent bills there. To date, with the unpaid balances for just these vacant properties, for 2024 and 2025, all the bills going out that have not been paid amass to a total of $645,000.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anything else from the committee? No. Okay, our next scheduled meeting is August 19, 2025. With that, this meeting is adjourned.